Welcome to Driven Ops Power Talk. I'm Jasmine Moore.
And I'm Rebecca Heisey. We're two work besties who have spent over a decade learning the ins and outs of sales and marketing.
On this podcast, we discuss all things go-to-market operations, the people, processes, and technologies that make up the engine of a thriving go-to-market function. Let's get to it. Today we're talking about something that disrupted the B2B world, at least my B2B world. Recently, LinkedIn made a huge change on its platform, and they blocked the brand pages of Apollo.io and Seamless.ai. I think this was a huge message to similar providers out there that like LinkedIn is done playing nice with this, and I think we have a lot to say about it. This is impacting sales organizations all over, and so we're going to get into it today.
Yep, I'm excited.
All right, so a little background. Apollo and Seamless AI, they're designed to help sales tools and professionals find and manage contact information and reach out to key decision makers, right, to build their prospecting databases.
Yep. So Apollo is one of those types of tools that manages and helps sales teams create contacts, create prospects. It does a little bit more as well, though. It acts as not only this database for all of these contacts, but it also does data enrichment. So if you already have contacts, it helps to update that data that's in the system. It also does sales engagement. So it can help you track your emails, do your calls, your text messaging, that type of thing as well. It also does lead scoring, and you can create automation rules as well within the platform. So it's not just like it's only doing data. It has a mass amount of information that you can use Apollo for. It's not just for scraping information off of LinkedIn, but this data enrichment piece is the main area that LinkedIn is calling them out for.
Yes, and Seamless AI is similar. It's a sales intelligence tool that's powered by AI and also accelerates the lead generation process by searching for business contact data, real-time contact verification. It also integrates with CRMs and provides a large database of contacts. So I think the crux of the issue here is, and it's assumed because I haven't read all of LinkedIn's terms of service, but we assume that they were out of LinkedIn's terms of service because of the scraping part.
Yes, because there's other data enrichment platforms out there. There's a lot of them actually. But yeah, it really seems to just be the scraping part that is kind of that underlined, bolded, this is where you went wrong area.
And it's like, I don't know if it's through their Chrome extension, but basically the real benefit to sellers out there is just plugging in Apollo Sales Chrome extension on top of LinkedIn, and it unlocks a lot of data. You can push folks directly into Apollo. I assume Apollo's capturing that information like titles and phone numbers and pushing it into their platform as well. And so therein lies the issue. Right?
Yeah. And I mean, when you think about that, I mean, it makes sense, right? If you're a salesperson, this is a way that you're going to be creating your workflow. You want to have the most updated information. You want to use all the tools that you have at your disposal, and you want them to kind of layer over each other very nicely. So you're looking at LinkedIn. If you use Apollo as your main tool, let's say like, for your CRM, for your sales engagement platform and your data enrichment, then you want all of that to like work seamlessly. Or no pun intended for Seamless AI, but yeah, you want it to all work in a cohesive way, and you want it to be visible. And now they're just
you're going to have to find other tactics.
Yeah, you're going to have to find a new way to do it.
A large part of Teams' outbound motion is mass emailing, and so with Apollo and LinkedIn and working these tools into your workflow, you're feeding your outbound email motion. And I think LinkedIn is trying to say, hey, you're taking our users so that you are mass emailing them. So this is going to affect us as consumers and as professionals. We're not going to get as much spam. That's great. It's blocking the spam, but it's also forcing sellers to try other tactics like, hey, stay on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
That's the goal, right? LinkedIn wants you to stay on LinkedIn and leverage their own tools.
Yep.
Leverage Sales Navigator, build a brand for yourself and sell in the DMs because then you're in LinkedIn and you're doing point-to-point communications with the LinkedIn users.
And you're in LinkedIn longer, and you have to make sure that you're using all those credits, or that you have the actual Sales Navigator licenses, because if you are trying to do this sort of practice without Sales Navigator, they know, they were watching. So
they will know.
They will know. I'm telling you. So you can't just like try to research those companies on your own and then like DM them on your own. They will track how much you're doing that without having those licenses. So I think it is really interesting. It will be interesting to see more if they continue to push Sales Navigator, if they create a new platform that competes with what Apollo and these other data enrichment tools are doing in seamless AI. But the one thing I will say, though, is in the interim, it's going to slow people's processes down.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like, this is a core workflow on a lot of teams of like extracting data, pushing it into your sequence. I mean, you're going to have to get creative. And like you said, it's going to slow people down. They're going to have to be more personalized, more methodical in their outreach, and they're going to have to DM because how else are you going to get the information?
You won't have the updated information at all, right?
If that's your tech stack, I mean, or choose an alternative, but then, this is just the first.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I think one area who might be happy at every company is like the legal teams, because they're probably thinking, okay, we have to create a much better, more productive way of capturing our data instead of scraping it from these tools. And you have to be able to like get those people's consent or like do real research to make sure you're going to their websites and looking at that information. But I think it's going to be a little bit of a pain point for people, especially if, again, to kind of like jump back, these tools don't just like, even if you use Apollo, you might only use Apollo for data enrichment, right? Or Seamless AI, you might only use it for data enrichment, and that's it. And then you might have other tools, but now you're also stuck in a contract with these people, and you can't even use it to its full extent that you were doing it. Now what do you do?
And as the buyer, who are you mad at? Are you mad at the provider of the data, Apollo, or are you mad at LinkedIn?
I'm mad at both, I think. I kind of think that, like, I get it. LinkedIn is like, hey, you know what? We caught you. We're not happy with this, and we're going to stop it. But at the same time, if you are going to build a relationship with them later, you also have other customers who might be using LinkedIn, might be using Apollo all at the same time, and you're also burning some of those bridges. So I kind of feel like they should have maybe slowly introduced it, like, hey, we're going to start blocking this at X date, versus like it just being so abrupt. It felt like it came out of nowhere.
See, my opinion is I'm not mad at LinkedIn. I'm not mad at anyone in this case. I'm good. But if I'm a buyer and I'm a user of these tools, which I have used both of them, Apollo and LinkedIn, I would be more upset with the Apollo tool, the provider tool, because I don't think LinkedIn has ever accepted this practice, accepted you utilizing Apollo and the data that Apollo allegedly extracts from LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And so LinkedIn, my assumption is they've probably been working on this for a while, and they're probably trying to, like you said, strategically position themselves to launch something similar, so that, again, they're keeping their users on the platform.
Yeah.
And Apollo CEO did announce on his LinkedIn that, like, hey, we're aware that our brand site got taken down, but we are working with LinkedIn to get it back up. And he made a point to say it's a temporary. So that tells me that they're probably trying to negotiate some technical partnership with LinkedIn so that it's kosher.
Yeah, and I get that too. I also did start to think that this whole practice was starting to hit other platforms as well, even ones that don't do their own data, because SalesLoft was notified as well that if you didn't have specific Sales Navigator licenses, that it was going to be cut off from their platform also. And so that was really interesting, because SalesLoft doesn't do the data enrichment the way that Apollo does with their sales engagement tool. And so it kind of made me curious, like, what is really going on, like, with this whole thing? Because, I mean, people could be getting kicked off all across the board. Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's capitalism and it's money. Like, there's money being moved in the background, and like, call me crazy. I think it's all money motivated and
I'm
like
sure.
all motivated by technical partnerships between these organizations.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
be ironed out like the TikTok ban was. Well, actually, it wasn't. It's still in pending, but
people have access. And you're kind of continuing with your day to day as if nothing's wrong.
for now.
Yeah.
Until the next ban.
Yeah.
And the next deal. I think it's all working towards like a deal.
Yeah,
a deal needs to be done.
Yeah. It will be interesting to see though. And I'm not against the partnerships. I think like having these partnerships does make it better when you as a consumer want to be able to pick the product that works best for you, but you also want to know that if you do have multiple tools, which as we've talked about in many of the episodes, there are a lot of tools to pick from and choose from and have in your tech stack, but I also want to know that I'm not going to have more gaps because now you can't connect with this one and that one doesn't connect with that one. It's like you want them all to be friends.
Yeah. But going back to like the strategy and the tactic of the broad outreach, which this disrupts your broad outreach.
Yeah.
One positive is that this may move us towards a more compliant, more ethical tactic in strategy and outreach.
Yeah.
So going to that and building your brand up, creating your social presence, and really trying to generate leads organically and ethically, so people are giving you their information and you can add them into a very personalized email program.
Yeah.
So I think that is a positive that brands are just going to have to do better in
getting consent
and reaching their audience when their audience wants to be reached.
Yeah. And that is one thing that like LinkedIn really knows that they do well is that people go to them and provide that data. They go in, they create their profiles, they update their titles, they update their jobs. And that is very unique because there's really no other platform that has that. Everyone else is calling businesses, looking at their websites, scraping data offline, calling their hotline numbers, whatever it is. So yeah, I mean, that is one area that they know that they're in on that market.
Okay. So those are our hot takes. I'm curious where this will land. Let us know what you guys think about it in the comments. We will be watching for sure. Yes. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I am a fan of Apollo, as you know, and I use LinkedIn every day. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm really curious too. And I'm sure we'll update you in another episode as we learn more.
So this coffee talk is going to be a say this, not that work edition. So our producer is going to throw something at us. We don't know what they are yet. And instead of saying this, corporate,
say it.
You say this.
Yeah.
You say that.
Instead of saying it the way you really want to say it, you have to say it professionally. Yes.
That part. Okay.
If you're saying like, that's not my job, you can just be like, hey, you know what? I'm not the best person for this, but I can help you find the right person to get you the answer.
Boom.
Something like that.
Yeah. All right. Hey, I'm in back-to-back meetings all day today, but I have carved out a time tomorrow to get to this, so I'll get back to you.
Yeah. Perfect. Ooh, that's a I told you so.
I told you so.
That one's tough.
So you know what?
Yeah, that one's tough. I think you could say something like, I'm really happy we found the answer. It looks like maybe one theory that I had previously might have been the actual solution or something like that, where you're trying to sort of dance around it, but sort of saying like, yeah, but I brought that up before.
Yeah. Like, yeah, when we previously discussed this and I had advised that direction, we went back and forth, but I'm glad that we came to the solution that was correct.
Yeah, that's perfect. I love that.
I appreciate your perspective. I'll let you know what we figure out.
That's a good one.
I appreciate your perspective. I'll let you know what we land on.
That's a good one. I don't even know if I would have to think about that one a little longer. I don't even know if I could have come up with that as quickly. Those are good. Okay. I like it.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Power Talk. We'll see you on the next one.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on all social media platforms.
Keep up with us and all of our hot takes on all things go-to-market operations. See you next time.